Hey everyone, my name is Daniel, and in today's video, I'm going to walk you through how to enhance the responsive design in Power Apps Canvas app. And today, we'll focus on galleries and forms. So Power Apps does come with the functionality to add responsive design directly from the start, but here's what happens. If you go ahead and use it and say you're looking at it in a smartphone, the gallery shows up on the top and the form on the bottom. You see, the design is a little clunky. What I'm going to show you is that way such that you can actually have the gallery on one side displayed full, and if you click on an item, it shows the form. It looks much better this way. So stick around because this video will take your design skills to the next level. But first, here's my intro video. So let's get started. First, let me show you how to go ahead and leverage the responsive template and go ahead and enhance it as well. So here I'm in my Power Apps, and on top, I'll go and click on the plus new app. And in the drop down, I'm going to use the start with page design. As I go and click it, right over here, these are the three responsive designs. My personal favorite is this middle one because even though it shows that it only has a gallery and then two sections over here, it actually has a header on top as well. So it kind of does at least 80% of the job as far as design goes. So I'm going to go and select this one. It is going to take us directly into the Canvas Studio, and you'll see what I mean in just a few seconds. That it is loading, it's putting it in. On the left side, right over here, I'm going to click on this don't show again and skip. On the left side, you see that it actually has a section, which is a sidebar container. As I hover over here, it's the main container, and on the top is the header container. See, it's this header container which actually doesn't show. So that template design doesn't do justice because this is a pretty sweet design. So let me just go and save this as well. I'll go over to the right. I'll go and click on save. I'll call this as a live demo design app and click on save over here. Let me also go and make a database connection. I'll go and click on add. Here is the Dataverse table that I have called inventory lists. Let me just go and use that and it'll go and set up the connection. Perfect, the connection is set up. Now I'm going to go and focus on the design piece. So let's just get the header part done. All right, so I'll click on this section over here. I'm going to go and use the text label. Automatically goes and puts it over here, but we need to make it responsive. So I'll come to the right and I'll go and first of all make it nice and stretched. And then I'll use the flexible design, make sure that the text is in between. And I'll go and even change that over to say size 15, all right? And this one is going to be an inventory app. So let me change that as well. There you go, inventory app. And display mode, let me go and change that as to view because that's what it is. It is just a display site. So header is done. We might come back and tweak it a little bit, but at least that part is done. Let's go and take a look at the sidebar. On the sidebar, I'll come here. I'll go and click in the layout section. This is going to be a vertical gallery. So let me select that. Again, let's make this a little bit more responsive. So I'll go and select the data that we have, which is our Dataverse table. So at least we start to see some data come in. This is good. I'll come on the right side. On the layout, I'm just going to go and make it as a title and a subtitle. That way it goes and fills it in. Perfect. I'll keep that in for now. I'm going to go and also focus on the responsive side of it. So on the right, I'll go and make sure that it is going and filling it in. And I'll also go and turn on the flexible height. Pretty simple, pretty fast. Next to the right, let's do the exact same thing for the edit form. Click on the edit form over here, select our Dataverse table. These columns will automatically populate in. So we'll just go and finish the waiting for that. Awesome, the columns are all here. What I want to do is I want to just put one column at a time, not three in a row. So I'll go and change that. Nice, fill that in. One thing about the form, as you can see, it is empty. So I'm going to make sure I select the form. And on its property, go specifically to item. And the item is going to be whatever this gallery was selected. So this gallery is called as gallery 1. So that's what I'm going to mention over here on the items property. So I'm going to say gallery 1 dot selected. And that's all you need to do because now it'll populate. And as a test, let's go and look at a preview. Perfect. We've got the items over here. We've got the form and both of them are related. Other thing that I want to do is do a test. So if I go to the phone section and I go to the 12, 13, 14, this is what we see out of the box. And in the introduction, I said that yes, it is responsive, but this just does not look very impressive. Now, if you're fine with this, you are done because this is by default responsive. And check this out. Even if I go and switch this over to an iPad, it doesn't look that bad, all right? But if you want to take this to the next level, especially for these mobile apps, where you can go ahead and fill up this entire section showing just the gallery. And if you select on the gallery, then the form shows up. Mind you, both of them are in the same screen, but we can really go ahead and enhance that design. So that is what I'm going to show you next. So let's jump in. First thing I want to do is just a simple test, is that when this thing is visible, the top gallery is visible, if I were to go ahead and had it hide the edit form, what is the effect of that? And also vice versa. So let's try that, all right? So I'm just going to come out, go back into our studio, and for now, this form piece, which is the whole main container, let me just go to the visible property, and it is at true. Let me go ahead and make it false. False basically means it's just going ahead and hide it. So now if I go and click on play, this is what we want, is that the entire gallery will go ahead and fill out this nice real estate space that we have and make it look really nice. And the second thing we want to do is that if I were to go ahead and now select it, the gallery disappears and the edit form shows up. So let's also make sure that the edit form is filling out the space nicely. And so we'll go ahead and now switch the invisible property. So on the side gallery, which is the sidebar container, I'll go back to it's visible, and I'll go and change this over to false. And let me go back down now to the main container, and let me go ahead and make this true. All right, so I'll just go do that. And it's filling it up nicely, but let's go and take a look at it from the preview. So I'll go and click on the preview play over here, and not bad at all, right? It's filling it up. It looks a little cut off, and let me just double check. See, I'm actually at a good iPhone 12, 13, 14. That's a really good size. Even if I were to go in the max area, it still looks a little cut off. So let me show you how you can fix that. It's pretty easy. You go to the form and you go to each and every data card level. Each and every data card, you click on it, and in the property section, you see that wide fit. Go ahead and toggle them on. That is what makes sure that each of these data cards will also abide by the overall responsive containers configuration. And that you have to do it at each card level. Like you can't just go to the form and turn it on. That doesn't work that way. You got to go and do it at each and every card level. So we did the first one. Let me just go and turn all of them on as well. And here's the last one. As you can see, it all looks good. Now if I go and take a look at the preview, voila, it fits perfectly, all right? All of it looks good. So now at least we know that individual containers, they do really a good job. They go ahead and occupy that entire space. What we need to do now is figure out how we can actually show both of them while we are in the wider screen, like a tablet or a full desktop screen. And while we are in this mobile view, the gallery should show first, and based on the on select, it should show us the edit form. That's the next thing that we need to work on. So let me go back into the studio, because we are going to start leveraging a few things. We're first of all going to go ahead and set up a global variable using the set function. Then we will start to use a combination of the and, or. Also, we will be using the screen size. So let's do the easy one first. I'll go to the app. On the app, in the on start, I'm going to go and put in this PowerX formula. Using the set function, I says, here's a variable, I call it as a var item selected, and by default, go and set that as false. That is the one that's going to help us decide which one of these items, whether it's the sidebar container or the main container, which one of them are going to be selected, all right? So that's the first important thing. And just to make sure that that variable actually has the false, I'll come to this app, I'll right click on it and do a run on start. And so now I know for sure that that variable items data is called as false. All right, that's the first thing. Now let's go and add some formula over here. All right, so now in the sidebar, this is what it is. It's false. Here is the PowerFX formula that I'm going to put in. I'm going to delete the false, and I'm going to start with my if function. If function, it opens up a parentheses or a bracket, which is great. But inside it, I'm going to start with and I'm going to use the screen size. So it has to be of this screen. This is the only screen we're in, screen 1. So that's what I'm going to cite in. Screen 1 dot size, and if that equals screen size dot small, this is the first thing, because screen size dot small is the one for the mobile apps. So that's what I'm going to start with. If that is small, or if my variable is selected, and I got to close it with double brackets, go and put in a false or go and put in a true. This is the first thing you have to do. And notice, moment I did that, the sidebar immediately showed up because we are in a wider screen and because we are in the Copilot Studio mode. So this is pretty neat because we've got at least this side working, which is the side container. What I need to do is go ahead and apply almost the exact same PowerFX formula into the main container which controls the form, but there's one little change we have to make, and that is for the var selected item. So let me show you that. All right, I'm just going to come over here, put your shift button down, click on home, highlights the whole thing, do a control C. We got that formula. I'm going to go to the main container in its visible property, replace the true, but for this one, you see that var selected, go ahead and put in an exclamation point before that. That will negate it. So whatever is the value selected, we are interested in the opposite of it. So if the value selected is false, we are verifying is it true, and vice versa. That's what that exclamation mark does. All right, but this is pretty neat because now both of them are showing up in the studio view. But here's the final test. Now if I go and click on play, all right, this is good because now we are seeing the gallery. But if I go and click on any of these items, I am still not seeing the gallery. Why? Because I have to go and modify that variable. So let's go and do that. Let me X out of this one, go back to that gallery, and in the gallery's on select property, right over here, on select, we are going to go ahead and now use another set function, go ahead and call that variable that we created, and on select, I want to go ahead and set that as true. All right, and the moment you go and complete it, if everything is good, it should come back to what we have over here. But the final test is right over here. Let's go and do a preview. We see our gallery fills up the real estate space just fine, but check this out. If I go and do not click on it, yay, the gallery disappeared and the edit form showed up, and the edit form also maintains the real estate one. Isn't this awesome? We are able to go and see all the form over here, but we've got one little glitch over here. We don't have a way to go back to the gallery. So I need to put in some other icon or button where if I go and do an on select, that variable value would automatically become false. So an easy way to do that is let's just go back over here, right up to the top, which is the header container. And over here, I'm just going to go and put in an icon. So I'll come to my icons and I'll just go and put an add. The add icon went all to the right. So I'll right click on that, move straight to the start. Also, I'll make sure that it is nicely stretched out. So it's stretched out this way, looks good. And change the icon too. So let me go to the properties section. Let me do a search for home. That's better. I'm going to go and do a search over here. Now the formula that we're adding over here is exactly the same formula we did on the app on start. So let me just go and select that one, went to the app, the on start property, highlighted the whole thing, do a control C, click on the home icon, make sure it's on the home icon. In its on select, let me just highlight the whole thing, backspace, do a control V. This is what I want. Now let's go and do the test one more time, all right? And just to make sure, on the app, I'll right click and do run on start, which means all the variable is set exactly the way we want. I'll go and click on play. All right, so we're over here, okay? This is good. Now, if I go and say click on the gene section at the bottom, it comes out directly into the form fills up, looks really good, make sure I do it. But if I go and click on home, voila, it went ahead and brought it back into the gallery. And keep all of this in mind, these are not multiple screens, all right? All of this is happening inside one screen. Now, I want to end by giving you a few tips because I went ahead and did it through an iPhone and we even tried the Pro version, but you might have a different mobile smart device altogether. So sometimes you have to tweak things around for that screen and the real estate space. And this is how I do it. Go back to directly each of these levels. So in the bottom container over here, specifically on the sidebar and the main bar, fix inside the container. Don't try to go ahead and change it at each of these control levels. Stay at the container level. Now at the container level, you see this minimum height and this minimum width. That is the one that you will have to sometimes change to make sure that whatever happens, it doesn't go anything below it. And if your minimum width, sometimes you might have to manipulate that. So if this 250 is a little bit still too high, you might want to have changed the minimum width to say 200, all right? So play around with that numbers to make sure that your responsive design works really well. Next is you may have to tweak some of these gaps. You see this section over here in between the gallery piece and also the form piece. This is called as gap. Now, to tweak and manipulate the gap, you have to go at the highest level. So this sidebar and this main bar, both of these are containers, but if I go and click on them, you see that their gap, both of them are 0. Why? Because the main gap is done at the higher level, which is at the bottom container, this bottom section. And you see over here, it is called as 16. So you may have to change this a little bit. Instead of that 16, let's just go and put in a 10, all right? It made the space a little smaller, but that little smaller gap means you got a little bit more room now for the gallery and also for the edit form. And that can make a big difference, especially if the devices, those smartphone devices, if their widths are a little difficult to manage, if their widths are not looking really good, the gap is where you can go and manipulate things a little bit. So these were the two important tips that I want to show you. But overall, this is pretty awesome. You and I made sure that the responsive effect is still there, but the look and the feel, importantly, the user experience is super useful and pleasing to the eye. So if this video made sense to you and you were able to replicate these steps in your tenant, in your Canvas App Studio, major kudos to you. Because now you've officially graduated from what was a beginner basic level to an intermediate level. And you can go ahead and take these ideas to really tweak the responsive design of your Canvas apps as well. And this is just the beginning of many other videos I'm going to release, because I'll do the exact same thing. I'll take very specific cases and walk you through step by step. So hopefully this video was useful to you. And as always, keep using Power Apps. Hello, hello, hello. So if you like this video, go ahead and click on that subscribe button and smash that like button. Also, if you have a few extra seconds, can you go ahead and put in a comment? Either say something nice or give me ideas for my next video. And until then, see ya.